I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan your own hands can land.
Man, feeling well, man.
What's your name?
My name is Cardi Cornish.
And you a legend?
I'm a legend.
You're a legend here in Baltimore City. Where we at right now?
We live in the 17 Pennsylvania Avenue. The legendary Pennsylvania Avenue.
Man, the last time I saw you here, you were doing something just across the street here. What were you doing?
Oh yeah, I had some food left over from an event. We brung it out. We fed a couple of people, man.
Why you do that?
Nice soul food.
Why you do that?
Man, the love that God has shown me in Christ, man, it overflows. That's how it overflows.
Yes, sir.
We got more than we can.
Already was high within San Antonio, Winchester community, but the age group is getting younger. Children under the age of 18 being murdered in San Antonio has a high peak right now. So our goal is to catch the children.
You going hard, man. You going hard on that man today. So what do you think, Mr. Mayor? You got manufacturing right here, helping our young people despite all of the challenges in the city of Baltimore, right here on North Avenue.
No, it's really about the growth. Just knowing being there when they were down in Fort Covington and seeing how far it's grown. Like you said earlier, like getting the Soul Bay, where we got the Soul Bay at the beginning, but now being able to, when I'm at Camden Yards, get it, or anytime I'm down at Harbor Place to get it, and folks to not even know, but they gonna know now that like this is coming from young people in West Baltimore, right there in West Baltimore on North Avenue, where they think nothing great comes from, but they can see it with the young people.
If you work for it, it's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they
Here on the Pike, Mississippi, down right there, French Ford Mathis. Beautiful town, just leaving Algiers, which is an update 10 years since Katrina. The news before. All right, y'all, this is what I came to New York for. Besides the Black Wall Street Awards, we're going in here and get some of this real good jerk chicken. Donnie Glover, out.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me.
But we need to feed our loved ones. DOTS needs to rescind this package policy program so that our loved ones are able to eat every day in that filthy facility.
We have some stars in the building.
I feel like no one takes it.
We'd like to welcome you to the Emmy-nominated Donnie Glover Show. Today we're going to cover the debate from last night. Joining us is Byron Deese and Marcia Jews. We'll later be joined by Princess Williams. I don't know if you saw the debate, but it was a trip. Good morning, Byron.
Brother Glover, good morning, man. Good morning. How you feeling?
Feeling grateful. Good morning, Marcia. How are you?
I'm fine if I could get this doggone back screen to work, but we gonna keep it moving.
Okay, just stay still. So, what'd you think, Marcia, of what you saw? Yeah, that says it all.
I was really disappointed. We're talking about the President of the United States, and we have giggles on there. You have people saying stuff that doesn't even make sense. Donald Trump is off the rails as usual. Kamala thought everything was funny, opposed to looking at the critical piece that our nation is in trouble. The leadership in this nation is absent. And last night's show was just that. It was a two-ring circus.
Byron Dees, your thoughts?
Well, I really thought it was more of a coming out party, if you will, for Kamala Harris. It was an opportunity for people to see who she is and who she wants to be, and outlining her ability, and does she fit the style test, if you will. I mean, debates in the Trump era are not the debates that we're used to, anytime pre-Trump, right? Where you actually got a chance to unpack policy and got a chance to really understand the viewpoints of each other. You're really just jabbing back and forth. That's just what the climate we're in over the past, I would say, 10 years, or definitely since the Trump era. But yesterday was really a coming out party for Kamala Harris, for folks who would say, I'd never vote for a Kamala Harris. They had a chance to really take a look and say, wait a second, are the views that I actually had of her, does it still stand? Did she change anybody's mindset yesterday concerning her? I mean, you got what you got from Trump. Trump does what he does. That's his approach. But it was really more about, can Kamala Harris dance on the world stage in a debate format? And I thought she did.
I'm going to tell you something. This is a sidebar that I learned. I saw a commercial. I saw a Larry Hogan commercial. And in that commercial, he was asked if he would support the Republican nominee. It totally changed my perspective of Larry Hogan. He said that he would. That means that he would support a Trump. Go Angela. For the record.
That's right. And anybody who thought that he won't do that, they're way off.
I was told this. I heard it with my own ears. Go Angela. We need to get her on the show. Okay, so let's go through. I'm looking at a BBC article. What do you think of the initial greeting where Kamala went and shook his hand? I think it was Rachel Maddow's show. It was stated that she cornered him. That he ran and ran, but she cornered him. And she made him shake her hand. A lot of this is body language. Body language speaks volumes. Another point they make is that, says Vice President Harris, a Democrat, went on the offensive from the outset, goading her Republican rival and assailing him over his criminal trials and his handling of the COVID pandemic. But Marsha, you make an interesting point. You said she thought everything was funny.
Yeah, she laughed through the whole daggone thing. She looked at that and she knew that her opponent is out in left field. And she giggled through most of it. I mean, because he's a joke. And that's how she played it. She played it like he was a punk. And she was just jabbing. I mean, it was really a comedy show for me. I was sitting there cracking up like, oh, okay, go ahead, girl. For real, because that's what was happening. She was light and airy and playful. And she's like, okay, because we already know who you are, Donald Trump. We already know. You've already shown us who you are, and we believe that. Because you've already demonstrated that you out there on left field somewhere.
There was also one point where she was 2 seconds away from calling him an MFer. I don't know if you noticed that. She said, and this
right.
Former president, she was 2 seconds from calling him a him.
Right. Because she don't respect him. Don't nobody respect him. She was like, yeah, okay, punk. This what we gonna do.
You know,
it was hilarious.
I had a conversation last night, with a group of guys who were like, man, listen, I was looking for some policy breakdown and what about this and what about that? Because again, I'll tell you the truth, from my perspective, Kamala's biggest hurdle is black men. Black men and working class black folks.
Why?
Why? Let me tell you. Well, number one, the black men, I hate to say it, but a lot of these guys are chauvinistic, and they're not flying with it, right? So they're all. It's interesting. I've had deep conversations with guys trying to get to the bottom line of what's your real issue here. I will say though,
if she can do the job, let her do the job.
I'm with you. But I will say this, and this isn't just a Kamala Harris issue. This is a Democratic Party issue that they're having with black men, particularly around. You think about who's, second to Jeffries. This is not the era of black men in the Democratic Party, and you can look at the policies. Most black men aren't, quote unquote, I should say, are quote unquote homophobic and aren't supporting anything trans, this and all that. So they don't find a home, and so they're searching for something else. Not to say that those Republicans have anything laid out for them. You go over there and look like a fool, and so there is a certain level of abandonment that a lot of brothers feel they have, and so that's one piece. But I would say, just in terms of the debate, she knew how to get under his skin yesterday. She said all the things that would make him, really go unhinged. When Trump started talking about, immigrants eating cats and dogs and stuff, I'm like, it's a wrap. Like, anybody who's taking him seriously, you got to really rethink. Like, either you line up with this, and I've definitely seen and heard a lot of guys, give their own spin on what Trump is saying. What he really means is, and all that kind of stuff, just to justify to say, I don't support what he just said, but what he's really trying to say. But the more you do that, anybody who is remotely, I'm speaking to a lot of the white moderates who are just trying to figure out, like, why am I still supporting Trump? You really got to rethink it. So, and they've never voted, in many cases, never voted Democrat.
He just seemed like he was out of place. He was uncomfortable. He was really uncomfortable. He didn't know how to deal with that. It was a lot for him.
Harris poked fun at his crowd size at his rallies, that people were leaving early.
That was a direct jab, man. Anybody who's
she was at war.
Yeah.
Her goal was to put him down. She didn't use a gun, but she sat him down. She said, this is what we're going to do, and you're going to have to remember this moment in time. And that's what she did. She wore him out, and she was light and airy and laughed at him through the whole thing, dismissing him. She was dismissive.
How did you feel when Trump said that now she is a black person?
It's so Trump. Trump says whatever comes up and out. He don't care. He's gonna say what he wants to say.
Personally, I was insulted. It takes me back in my second book, where I write about in Oklahoma, when the blacks from Florida first went to Oklahoma, they had what was called the Dawes Commission. The Dawes Commission determined who was black and who was Native American. What's egregious to me is someone, particularly a white racist, telling me what I am. I mean, you can look at her and tell she's a black woman. Everybody got black DNA. Scientifically, the oldest DNA on Earth comes from Namibia, the San Bushmen. It's the oldest DNA on Earth. So every person on Earth, white, black, Asian, Latino, the oldest DNA on Earth comes out of Africa. So truth be told, everybody is African.
Yes.
But to have a white racist comment or attempt to define or determine what a person of color is, to me, it's an insult to every person of color.
Yeah. Well, and I also think that he's doing his best to represent what he identifies as his base, which is white working class people, and to articulate their viewpoint on people who are mixed race, people who are black, who are whatever the case, who cares? And that's what he said. He's like, I don't care what she is. Like, that was his words. I don't care what she is. That's the way his base feels about anybody that's non-white.
Period.
And so, that's just, he's just sharing the viewpoint of his base. The big challenge and the risk to that is he could very well have people, and he can identify what percentage of that is, but he could very well have folks who are mixed race, who grew up in that kind of identity complex as to, I know I was raised by this one, but I still associated with that one. And then once I went to college, they identified me as this. Like, so that's a real factor for millions of Americans. And he said last night to those people, I don't care what you are, whatever. And, that's, the voting will determine how that plays out. Right. If that was a damning enough comment, but that's, at least he's clear as to how he feels about mixed race people in America.
But we already knew that. He's already shown us that from the time he opened his mouth.
I remember watching the Phil Donahue show years ago, and the white children disowned the mother because they found out she had black blood. If your mother got mixed blood, then you got it, big dummy.
Disown yourself, and they probably did subconsciously disown themselves too. So it's sad.
He called her a Marxist. Where did that come from? I mean, he said her father was a Marxist. Where did that come from?
I mean, you got to know that's just how they talk about anybody who's a Democrat. Now, and I think what he also tried to do was poke at her about her relationship with her father by bringing up, say, your father's a Marxist, was a Marxist. And she, anytime she tells her story, she opens up the fact she grew up with both families, and once they divorced, her mother raised her. So at that point, that leaves kind of an open, vulnerable wound, if you will. And her dad's still alive, right? So he was trying to jab at it. She didn't take the bait, but he was jabbing at a potential, soft point for her. But yeah, that's just what, Republicans, they highlight any economic policy that a Democrat puts out. It's a Marxist approach. And, that's old school.
Well, people already know where the racism is coming from. They already know that folks are trying to hide what they can, but, it all comes out in the light. So the reality is that we have a woman of color who may or may not deal with the foolishness that the Trumps are presenting to us. The reality is that it's all fair game as far as she's concerned. And she's going to come out there and do what she wants to do. She's going to say what she needs to say, and she's going to keep it moving. And if you can't deal with it, you're on your own. She don't care.
She kept saying that Trump is trying to divide the American people. Your thoughts?
Well, Trump is trying to get whatever he needs to get done. He gonna do what he needs to do to get to where he needs to get. And he don't care about nobody. And if you in the way, he's going to remove you. Period. He doesn't care. He wants to be president. That's his mission.
Yeah.
And anything in his way, he's going to try to knock it down if it's going to impact his movement. Period. He doesn't care. He's not interested.
What do you think of Black people who support Trump?
I think that this is America and they can do what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely right. I do think, though, when you start breaking up the subcategories of the folks who are actually voting for Trump, there are actually, Black conservatives, especially when you think about, growing up in the South, people who are born and raised in the church and have views that line up with, at least from a social perspective, there are people who are, I would say socially conservative, if you will, maybe fiscally moderate or whatever the case may be. So that's that demographic. And they've been like that long before Trump, right? Now you have in the Trump era, Black folks who are now supporting Trump. So that's the real question. Why are you there? And let's give me some policy reasons why you support this man, why you are willing to wear a MAGA hat. What policy agenda ran you over there? I personally, in my personal opinion, I think it wasn't a situation of I'm just so pro-Trump. It's that because in most cases we're talking about Black men. It's not a lot of Black women who are running over there wearing, this couple, small fringe group. But in most cases we're talking about Black men who in many ways, and I work with a lot of them on the wealth management side, who are hoping to create wealth, want to become millionaires and billionaires, and they have looked at that model and say, hey, white, the GOP, they cut your taxes. I need my taxes cut. The new Black entrepreneur, first generation wealth folks, like that generation and that demographic of folks, they are, at least from an economic policy perspective, supporting Trump. And so you have that group, but once you get into the populace, outside of all those different groups, I mean, it's hard to identify folks why they would support Trump, given his demeanor, given the things that he says, given his definitely lack of real interest in anything Black. So that part is a head scratcher.
Marcia and Byron, I want you to welcome Princess to the show.
Hi, Princess.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. How are you doing today?
We're great.
Lovely.
How about you?
Lovely.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I had to get up and do that mom role, dropping my son off at school. So, yes, I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Love it.
Marcia, you may remember Princess back from when Corey was working with us back around 2006.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, so you grown now, for real.
I have. I remember you, Marsha Jews. I'm still striving and trying to be like Marsha.
Oh,
Marsha's
Lord.
breaking down walls, shattering windows for all the women out there. Yes. Yes, that was about 20 years ago. But I remember just like, being a very new intern and just like looking up. Oh, my God.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Girl, that's wonderful.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
Those
Thank
are
you.
sweet memories. Thank you for sharing that. And look at you now. So let's talk about you and what you're doing.
Oh, you're so sweet. Okay, so as you know, so my name is Princess Tykara Williams, and I am now the owner and creator of Voiceover Inspires Entertainment, which I started when I became a new mother. It was the year 2021 during the COVID pandemic. At the time, I was working for the federal government. I needed a workplace accommodation to breastfeed my son because he was a baby. When I say baby, he was just born.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that accommodation was denied. They told me they could not accommodate my request. And so I needed 30 minutes because, as I don't know, a lot of us might know, but juggling the role of new mom, breastfeeding, working a full-time job during the COVID pandemic meant my son was literally on the floor crawling around playing with toys while I was on the phone taking calls and breastfeeding. So I had the breast milk in one arm, literally, and I had the baby on another, and I had a full-time job, and it was a lot.
Right.
So
That's real.
that's real. I needed an accommodation. They told me no. And at the time, I refused to give into the trepidation to quit. So I decided that, I had to give myself a little pep talk. I'm like, I'm a Goucher College grad. I went to Beaver Country Day. I studied communications, media relations. I've interned with Doni Glover at Be More News. I've got the skills. I just need to believe in myself and execute. So I started my own company and started the research and development for VoiceOver Inspires Entertainment. I took classes, I coached, I just worked steadily at it, consistently making strides every single day. By 2023, I decided to go full force. I went into demo production with J. Michael Collins. And now I have, 4 marketable voiceover demos. One I'm still working on that's in post-production. But the good news is I pretty much took something from nothing. I started small and now I have a small business and now I'm trying to grow and, get clients. I'm happy and I'm proud of myself and I have a lot of role models. And, I have to say, Marsha, you really, I remember when I was a little girl and I was interning with Doni and he was introducing me to all of these great people and I was just like taking notes. Okay, trying to keep up. And here I am now and I'm like so grateful because it's women like you who set the standard high. And it's young people like me who are striving to attain greatness. So I thank you so much for your inspiration.
Girl, and thank you for listening and having the desire to be the best that you could be.
Thank
And you took hold of the reins and handled your business. So congratulations to you and your commitment to your own future.
That's right.
That's huge.
No, thank you. I do appreciate it. I am proud to say that it wasn't something that happened overnight, but now I have a website. Now I have some, places to get work from, with different voiceover communities. And, I started from nothing and I had to do the work. I had to research SEO. I had to research marketing. I had to meet with some marketing coaches. I had to go to, some business classes. Although I studied business, I still had to take those classes in order to learn. And I'm still learning that your business plan grows with you.
That's right.
So I'm grateful. And this is the perfect platform. Doni Glover has, always been good to me and always showing me and leading the way, because as an entrepreneur, we need to support each other and it's not always easy.
That's
Byron,
wonderful.
why don't you tell us about your business?
Yeah, I'm sitting here listening to her. I'm like, please share your website because this is such a powerful story. And so with our Dreammakers Network, we work with entrepreneurs just like you to help to grow the business to scale. Access to capital is a huge piece of helping companies to go from where you are to where you want to go. And even factoring in exit planning and what that looks like in terms of scaling and possibly one day, selling the business to do something else, to become a 100% passive income individual. And so it's just a beautiful thing that your story is very powerful. And it's in a position to attract many people who will hear more about your business model. And definitely please type in your website so folks and share it with other folks so we can know and
put it in the private chat.
Dots for you.
Well, the name of my company is VoiceOver Inspires Entertainment. And you can search it on Google. My website is princesswevoiceover.com. So Princess WE. My name is Princess Williams Evans. So it's Princess WE voiceover.com. But I own several domains. So you can even get it from voinspires.com, which is an acronym for voiceover. So I'm very accessible. And I just stick to Princess We Voiceover because I think it's a catchy phrase and most people will get it. Princess We Voiceover. It's like that.
I love it.
It's like union, like bringing us together, working together, collaborating.
I like it.
Thank you. So I thought this would be a great rebranding strategy. Just like add in the we, change my name, break Princess We Voiceover. Anyway,
Right, that part.
Let me just jump in here. Marsha, tell us about your business.
WKIM. We have online shows and we also do voiceovers, but moreover, we do conference planning and exhibits and expositions and that type of thing. So We've got some experience setting up military expositions and others. So those are our two main areas. And then sitting here chatting with Donnie Glover on these shows that he's taught me how to do. Thank you, Donnie.
And you formerly had a art studio in Harlem.
I had an art gallery, Zaj in Harlem at 124 in St. Nicholas, across the street from George Faison.
And she's an undercover race car driver.
Really?
Only if we go into New York.
She can get from Baltimore to New York in 1 hour.
Wow.
Child, he was trying to hold on to the inside of the car, and he oh, talk about put the pedal to the metal. Boy, he was
in a
done.
thunderstorm, Byron. She can get from Baltimore to New York in a thunderstorm in 1 hour.
That is so funny.
He was done. He was done.
Who needs a speed rail?
He couldn't get out. He couldn't get out.
Speaking of which, did any of you see the Tyreek Hill arrest?
I did.
No.
I saw it on the news.
I saw it.
No. What? What
The
happened?
Tyreek Hill, he's a wide receiver for the Dolphins.
Yep.
So I understand he's the highest paid. He's one of the highest paid athletes, football players in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I got a comment. I'm 56 years old. 59. I don't know how old I am.
You just old. You just old. That's all.
You just look young and good.
56, maybe I'm 59. I'm not sure.
You just old.
When the police tell you to roll down your window, I'm from Baltimore.
Does that mean roll down your window?
Roll down your window.
Isn't that what it says?
The first thing out of his mouth was, "You hitting on my glass like you hitting on my glass like you crazy." Hold up, pimp.
That part.
The man asked you to roll down your window. You speeding. That means you breaking law.
That's crazy.
And it wasn't a white cop. It was a Latino cop. Now, I understand that Miami is crazy. I understand Miami is wild. But if law enforcement says roll down your window,
period.
Roll down your window.
And why can't you?
He rolls down his window, and then he rolls his window back up. Now, see, he created an atmosphere. He created an environment. He was asking for trouble. That's my thought. Byron.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm conflicted on this because I'm from that same era as you, Donnie, in terms of, when I see the police roll up on me, I'm like, whatever you need, sir. I become, I'm talking to my granddaddy, like you said, yes or no, sir. I just want to get out of here alive, kind of thing.
Right.
But I will say that, like, so for instance, he was a little off when he said, hey, why you tapping on my window like about to bust my window? And I get it, he's riding around in a $400,000 car, so I get that. But still, I think the other part to it is, though, there is this whole piece, this culture around when the police show up, they have their own set of laws and rules that breaks everything, right? And I've watched so many examples of when white folks in that same situation, and I've seen them say much worse things to police officers than what he said, and there's no forcing themselves on them and jumping on the dude and making him flat on the ground or hot concrete outside. Like, they physically addressed this dude twice. One, they made him face first on the ground. Two, when it was time for him to sit down on the side, the dude just jumped him and forced him to sit down. He said, "Listen, man, I had a surgery on my knee." Like, so at that part, I'm just over it, yo. I'm over the fact that police officers, when they show up, we have our own unique rules. And this gets back to Trumpism, right? Trump says, we're going to give you federal immunity to do what you need to do your jobs, which means in a situation like that, or like when that sister said, "In the name of Jesus, I rebuke you," to that police officer, and he shot her dead in her own house, that there would be no repercussion of that. So federal immunity to do your job. So that kind of, so I get it. Yeah. Please try to get out of there alive, be as respectful as you can. But police, you do in this type of country. That's the reason why this election is so important. Because I think we end up talking about all of even the debate. It didn't hammer the fact that Donald Trump's outline, his plan, if he could try to stand as far away as he can want to from Project 2025, but what that manifesto outlines is a different version of what we know as American democracy. That's not the way we move, the way we approach life and law and rules in this country. That's not what that thing says. It is a different model. And when you start, he's already got presidential immunity, right? So that's a thing now. That's checked. The box is checked on that. Now he's talking about federal immunity for police officers. I mean, then we're talking about executive branch moving much more like a monarchy than a 3 branches of government balance of power. Like, this is a different model that he's trying to introduce, even if he tries to stay away from it. But if that dude gets in office on day one, his policy team is coming in and they will institute that. So,
But that's the mission.
That's the mission.
And you have to understand the mission. And they're all in alignment with that mission. And that trickles all the way down. And until we as citizens of the United States, until we are able to have a real live, straight up, no chaser conversation about what Trump really looks like and all of his cohorts, this is really frightening, because it's almost like an internal war from a domestic standpoint. This man is ready to change the trajectory of this country, period.
Princess, let's hear from you. Did you see the debate last night?
I did. I actually watched probably half of it. And then the end of it, I had to go be a mama. Yes. But what did I think about the debate? I thought the debate was, in my opinion, I felt like the parties appeared to be, or tried to be, cordial. What I was hoping to happen in yesterday's debate was a respectful conversation, because what's taken place live at these rallies and, on podiums is a disrespectful rhetoric, which appears to be targeted at brown-skinned people and and Kamala Harris. So my issues there were, I wanted him to be respectful, and I wanted there to be substantive address of the questions asked. Overall, I personally felt like, Kamala Harris did a great job. I think that it's very clear that, and I think she did a good job at pointing out that our former President Trump has some criminal matters that will be coming up in November. And that to me stood out, because I think it was a true tale for what might come. I'm curious to know what will happen in November with regard to those criminal allegations, because, I have a theory. My theory is that, pending these ongoing civil and criminal suits against our former president, that hypothetically speaking, if he ever were to become reelected, because he is running, it is a possibility, that Vance would potentially become the president. Given the legal trajectory of what's happening, I mean, this is the legal trajectory. I mean, our former president is potentially in a current unfortunate circumstance of potentially having to answer to lawmakers. And none of us knows what will happen of that. The whole question of immunity is also being challenged. My understanding is President Joe Biden, is trying to make some reforms to whether or not presidents should have immunity. I mean, I believe that's a conversation also, on the list of subject matter within Congress. So these are interesting times, but overall I was impressed, and yeah, I thought it was well done. But now with regard to Tyreek, I think that, what saddens me as a young person is the lack of disrespect, that there's just no kindness. I think that there's a way to pull people over and be polite and cordial. And I think that the people, in these circumstances, like Byron said, I think we have to remember that when a police officer, pulls us over, or we hear those sirens, we know, pull over, we know, follow suit. Historically speaking, our race, I'm a brown skinned African-American Honduran woman, but I'm not silly. I know what history has taught me, that, from a standpoint of lynching and women being raped, from their cars. I know better. We have to be, exercise vigilance. And I think that what's sad to me though is that it could happen to any one of us, really. And those of us with kids, we, especially young boys, my concern is, will my son be treated with equality? And I think Tyreek, don't get me wrong, I think that the exchange could have potentially been improved, but I understand his concern too, in terms of how he overall felt, that he felt like he was being targeted. He felt like he was disrespected and humiliated.
He was speeding.
But he was speeding. I understand. Excuse me. Yeah.
He opened the door.
Yeah.
You broke law.
Yeah.
I want to go back to this. This is from the BBC. In the hours before the debate, social media was filled with reports of unsubstantiated claims repeated by J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate, that Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, had been stealing pets and eating them. Despite city officials telling the BBC there are no credible reports to support these claims, Trump brought up the matter in the debate. Does that mean he was reaching? And here's the thing. When you mention the Haitian immigrants, all I can think about is the Haitian immigrants being met by men on horseback with whips. You remember that, Byron?
I do. That was just a couple years ago. That wasn't ancient history, right? So that was
Latinos come across that border all the time.
All the time.
Daily.
I've never seen them met by men on horseback with whips. But the black immigrants from Haiti, and Haiti is, to me, they are the strongest black people in the Western Hemisphere. For those who may not know, the Haitian Revolution represents the only instance where blacks kicked out the European colonizers, in their case, the French, Napoleon. So I have mad love for Haiti.
I mean, I just can't begin to say how
J.D. Vance looks like the devil too.
Yeah, he does. But whenever you say Haitian this, Haitian immigrant, Haitian, like it's, and let's go back to who he's talking to again. He's talking to working class white folks who probably have never met a Haitian immigrant.
Or ever will.
So, but it's just beefing up. Like, why are we even having that conversation with them? Talk about their issues. Kamala mentioned it last night. It's like one thing you'll see at one of his rallies, he's not going to talk about your issues. What he will do, though, is try to beef up enough fear and things in your brain to make you say, we can't go that way. We can't, that it is so, you talk about dividing the country, that type of rhetoric.
But that's the mission. That's his mission.
That's the mission. And it's, it's so frustrating because, and I want to say it's frustrating here's the reason why. It's frustrating when you talk to, I'm sticking it on black brothers again. When you talk to black men who was like, I ain't voting for Kamala, I'm like, do you understand what's on the line here? Can we get out of our chauvinistic thought process just for 1 second, to understand what's on the line? Have you even read any of these policies that's outlined in Project 2025? It's easy for Trump to get up and talk about anything other than policy because they don't want to hear it. But when you start unpacking what his actually policy, czars are doing, which will be, because you guys also remember when Trump was in office the first time, you still had, I should say, the old school Republicans in office, and he was firing them as often as he could. Right? He kept firing this one and kept firing them. All those old neocon and Reagan Republicans. Every time somebody with a little bit of sense tried to, say, hey, this is not what we do. We got a treaty to follow. He fired them. He won't have that this time. If he becomes president, there will be no more Reagan Republicans, no more W. Bush and H.W. Those guys are gone. It will be a full MAGA agenda. And I don't think black men, I'm pointing this on black folks, black men in particular, get what that really means for Black Americans and the progress and the plight that we have in this country.
Princess, any thoughts on Trump and abortion? Oh, you're muted.
Okay. I'm unmuted. Thank you so much. Yesterday,
that mic is covering your face.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me show my beautiful face. Okay, thank you. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. My thoughts on abortion are, because I'm a woman, and I understand there are exceptions. President Trump raised yesterday, our former President Trump raised yesterday. My thoughts are that I'm 100% pro-choice as a woman. I believe that what happens to my body is a decision I should be given the opportunity to decide. I think as a woman, I am, after having a child, carrying that child 9 months, and the potential for complications, and then the risk of rape. I think that given the the risk involved with carrying a pregnancy, after a certain age, I think as a woman, I can make decisions that serve me well. And yesterday's debate, Trump made it very clear that he will support abortion with exceptions, though. He said that one of the exceptions are rape. Another exception is, I believe that he talked about, I think he said the 9-month. If a woman is pregnant in the 9-month, they will not allow abortions under his ruling. My thoughts on it are that there are just so many potential exceptions that one can think of as a woman that I just think it's just better to be pro-choice all across the board. Give women the right to make decisions for themselves. And the issue I have with this topic is that women carry children, not men. And so the lawmakers are oftentimes men. And in this particular instance, I just think that it's my opinion that men lawmakers should leave the role of abortion, or whether or not it should be allowed, to women lawmakers. This is my opinion.
This is my damn body. Period. And nobody should have the option to be involved in my life choices. These are life decisions. It's a life decision to decide that you are going to have a child and be responsible for that person. Or it's your choice to say, that's not what I'm going to do. And nobody else should have anything to do about what's happening with me and my body. Period. Period. Because nobody's going to take care of all of that but me. Nobody's going to intervene and do nothing. They're not going to come over to the house. They're not going to try to get you the food. They're not going to try to get you nothing. You got to beg to get on welfare. Stay out of my business.
It's so true. And then if you're married, now this is another topic that we don't touch on, but I worked in child support for 6 years. If you're married and you're a woman and your income exceeds a certain threshold, but you need money, you need food stamps. If you need food, you don't always qualify if your husband's income exceeds yours, even if your income is zero, because they look at the household income. And that's something to consider, because a lot of men are outside of the home. And it's the woman inside of the home. And that's a paradigm that I think needs to be reevaluated on the social level of laws and what's in the best interest of the mother raising those kids. But I wholeheartedly agree with Marsha. When I became a new mother, I happened to be in a position where I was working for the Social Security Administration. I had a full-time job, but my issue was I didn't have the help to help me with the baby. I needed someone to help me while I was juggling the role of full-time work and taking care of a little baby who needed breast milk. And the thing is, I've come to the conclusion that breastfeeding is not a woman's issue. It's a human issue. Women nurture babies, boy and girl babies. And the role of a woman when she first gives birth to a baby, requires support from the community. And, although I experienced that tragic circumstance, when I worked for the SSA, and I don't think that's a common circumstance, I still believe that we need to do more to support women who have kids and babies. I think it's very important. It's not something that's talked about. Health insurance. They told me, this is interesting. I love experiencing these challenges. They told me that I didn't qualify for health insurance on my own because I was still married. Like I physically can't get it by myself right now because I'm still married. I have to wait for a life-changing open enrollment decision or occurrence. And I thought, that's interesting. Because what if he loses his job and I need health insurance to take care of my son, So I don't know. There are some laws in place that I just think we need to take a second look at. They are archaic.
Laws.
They don't serve the woman raising the family. And not that men don't raise kids, they do. But like my mother used to say, because there are some great men out there, there are wonderful men, fathers, they're great supporters. But at the end of the day, my mother said to me when I was a little girl, the nurturing aspect of child rearing usually falls on a woman. That usually when kids are born, from the moment they enter the world, it's usually that woman that takes on and champions the role and responsibility of nurturing. So
I want to handle this question from Irvin Reed. He poses, why is it when a black person, especially a black man, doesn't support VP Kamala Harris, they don't understand what's at stake? It's simple, Irvin, because Trump's a racist. And why would you support a racist?
Period.
Now, I understand that not only was Kamala a prosecutor, but so is Angela Alsobrooks a prosecutor. But considering the racists who stand to benefit, I cannot understand why any black person would support a Trump.
Right.
He's trash. He's a traitor. He caused an insurrection that caused 5 deaths. He has 34 indictments. And if it were Obama, he would be under the jail.
Yep.
So that's why Irvin Reed. And I can send you a link if you care to join us. Yeah.
I want to touch on that. So I'm glad, because Irvin Reed has made that point before. And I think I think he's highlighting a very, very important point that, and I'm just looking at this from a pure political perspective of why Kamala Harris has a lot of work to do in terms of with black men, and particularly black men who have a criminal history, because you got to also look at the fact that California is the largest state in the country. And you look, so think about the amount of, crime that happens in a state like that, and the amount of Black people who committed crimes and had to go to jail under her watch. So that alone is, a factor, right? I don't think what we don't talk about when we talk about Kamala Harris and her prosecutorial background is that she was the one, Marilyn Mosby's program that she came up with, Aim to Be More, which was the nonviolent effect where you could get your record expunged if you have a nonviolent offense. She got that from Kamala Harris. Kamala had that same program. She started that program 10 years before Mosby got in office. She adopted that. So those type of programs to, if you're a nonviolent offender, she instituted those policies. So it's important to unpack what her prosecutorial background is, and then ask the question, how does that relate to the plight of Black people and Black men throughout the country? And Donnie, but on another point, I wanted to mention just real quick.
This show is about to get real heated. We'd like to thank you for joining the Donnie Glover Show. It's about to go down. Come on.
Well, I don't know, but here's what I want to say.
Go ahead, Byron.
Oh, okay. Now, one quick thing I wanted to mention on
Irvin Reed is going to join us.
Oh, good. Okay, I love Irvin Reed, so I look forward to the conversation.
I could buy that thing about the prosecutor thing earlier. I'm the biggest advocate for our incarcerated people. However, the stakes are too high.
Understood. Yeah. Donnie, one thing I wanted to mention real quick on this abortion topic, because we have to recognize where these policies come from. And the abortion topic is a policy that has come from evangelical Christians. I am an unapologetic Christian, but I do not support Christian nationalism, which means we're going to preach. If we can't preach sin out of you, we're going to try to legislate our views in you. And that's not. They
don't serve the same God I serve, because the God I serve don't get down like that.
That's exactly
the God
right.
I serve don't get down. I don't know what God they serve. My God don't get down like that.
But you got to know, Christian nationalism is a real thing. It's an effort to say, I know we're preaching, but it seems like y'all not getting it. So we're going to legislate this message to make sure it's against the law, quote unquote, to sin. That's really what Christian nationalism is. And so if you believe abortion is a sin, then they're going to say, let's legislate that. And I do not support Christian nationalism.
Like Pat Robinson.
That's exactly right.
I don't get down with dude. I don't know what God he serves. I don't serve that God. Anyway, we'd like to welcome all the way from Prince George's County by way of Cherry Hill. We welcome to the show one of the baddest political operatives in the state of Maryland, mathematician extraordinaire, a princess. This cat's a genius. You about to see Tank Davis and Floyd Mayweather. I don't know if you know anything about boxing.
I know a little bit. I can keep up.
Irvin Reed.
Donnie.
Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
I can't go for it, Irvin.
Donnie, you first of all, you didn't really understand what I wrote. At nowhere did I say anybody supported Trump.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand, I spent 10 years in corporate sales. I can walk up in somebody's office, they say, Irvin, I don't like IBM. And there's no need at that point to ever talk to me about IBM. Now I got to sell my product and why my product works for you. The minute you mentioned I'm not with Kamala, what people then assume you support Trump. No, I never said Trump. And I'm not saying whether I support Kamala or not. What I'm saying, for me, and there are a lot of people now that are out here, you got to explain to it what's in for me. Now, this project 2025, it was written down. So some black people all of a sudden think, well, it's written down, now I know. No, there was Project 2024, 2023, 2022, 2020. That what's been going on in this nation has been going on for years. They just wrote it down and some of y'all saw it and woke up. So no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying Kamala Harris has a record. But her record and Angela's records, just because they're prosecutors, they have different records. I'm saying if you have a record, explain it. That's all I'm saying. If you lock people, if you won't answer questions defending your record, and just answer the questions. wasn't going to support Joe Biden until he explained his record with the crime bill. Everybody has a record. So that's all I'm saying. That's one, if she lose, she's going to lose because, and the party's going to lose because they won't explain how her being in office helps me. You just saw a black man, a rich black man, get pulled over, put on the ground. That happens every day. So if that's happening to me, I don't give a damn about Project 2025, all that. What are you going to do for me?
Irvin, did the young man ask for it?
No, he didn't ask for it.
The police said, roll your window down.
Right.
He rolled his window down and rolled it back up.
Right.
The cop later said, you know what? Get out the car. The cop wasn't even going to ask him to get out the car. He brought that on himself.
Doni, you ever been pulled over?
Damn right.
Yeah, you know, cop pulled me over. I give my stuff. They go back to their car and look it up and then come back. They don't sit here and start tapping on my window and doing that. Ain't a cop's job to do that. That cop.
The cop pulled you over.
Right.
He has the authority. You from Baltimore?
No, he don't have. No, he don't have.
He don't have that authority.
He can't tell me.
What authority?
I'm under arrest. Then he get me out the car.
That's right.
Yeah, you just can't tell me to do this, do that. No, you don't have that authority.
Not until he reads me my rights.
Right.
Huh?
He got to read Miranda rights before he has the authority.
You just can't tell me what to do. You can ask me to do things if you want. But when I'm saying
the cop can't tell you to roll down your window.
He rolled down his window, gave him the information, then the cop should have went and ran, whatever ran, gave him a ticket to do whatever.
He can do that, yeah.
Yeah.
But he can't tell him to get out the car.
Okay, Irvin, do you talk crap to the police?
No, I don't.
No.
He brought it on himself.
So I just want to answer one question because I think legally speaking, like Doni and I, we had a conversation today on this show that what typically happens from as a standard practice, or what should potentially happen, is we just comply with what is asked of us. So if a police officer comes to our vehicle, it's just wise to say, okay, officer, what have I done? How can I help you? If they ask you to roll your window down, it's wise to just follow suit. But legally, the question is, are we legally required to roll down a window if a police officer asks without a warrant? The answer is no.
No.
Technically speaking,
you in Florida.
Tyreek, I know, but although he was speeding and he broke the law, it's an issue of property. Tyreek was in his own vehicle, and then the police officer, what you said, he knocked on the window. I have to check that out, verify that report. But the bottom line is, legally, Tyreek did not. I don't know. Okay, let's just stick to the facts. Legally, he is not required to roll down the window because I don't think the officer had a warrant. Just like legally,
you were speeding.
If you're in your vehicle, you are not required. If a police officer asks you to open up your glove compartment, legally, you are not required to do that without a warrant.
Give me the ticket and go.
So you get a ticket, right? So the problem with some of these altercations is I think the police sometimes take advantage. But here's the thing: we'll go back to Irvin. I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Princess.
Oh, you're welcome.
Tried it in Baltimore.
No, Doni, I'm not saying try. I'm saying right is right and wrong, and there are laws. You're saying he's asking for. He can say what he want to say to the cop. He can call him a name and do all of that. That's his right.
Neither you nor Byron would say what he said to the police.
Right.
I bet you my life you wouldn't.
Right. No, that's true. That's true.
because we want to get out alive. But legally, say what you want to say. I mean, we hadn't broken. That's the whole point. Give me your ticket,
in Florida,
or give me a
man.
whatever you're gonna do, and get on out of here.
You in Florida? Do you remember Trayvon Martin? These people.
Donnie, you're saying he's asking for it. No, the cop was wrong. These are laws that are in place. And if you have a prosecutor that then can now make sure this cop go after them. I'm tired of being, look, Tariq ain't no second-class citizen. Let's be clear. He's going to be a first-class citizen.
Very privileged. He was acting above the law.
No, the law says he didn't have to get out the car. Or he's going to arrest him and say, look,
they weren't going to ask him to get out the car.
But okay, we're gonna need a lawyer. But you don't have to. A cop can only ask you so much.
Marsha, stop playing with your camera. What you think, Marsha? Marsha, can you hear us? Hey, Marsha. I think good. Okay.
So the question is, according to some report read, Tyreek Hill was forcefully pulled out of his car by Miami-Dade police and handcuffed for about 15 minutes after rolling up his window during the traffic stop when an officer asked him to keep it rolled down. But he was not arrested and ultimately received 2 traffic citations. So, that's the part of concern, that he was pulled out of his car.
After he pressed on the cops and rolled his window back up.
Donnie, there's no law that say you can't flex on a cop. That's the law. I don't know what do we want to go by. The law says you can call him a name and do whatever.
You a black man in Florida.
Okay.
In Miami.
You know what? You know why I like Wayne Curry so much? Wayne Curry is the first black county executive.
Do you remember Trayvon Martin? You remember George Zimmerman got away with killing him? Avoid trouble.
But okay.
The first thing out of Tyreek's mouth was, "You hitting on my window. You hitting on my window. You hitting on my window."
No, Tyreek rolled his window down and gave that man his license and registration. He should have went back to his car, ran it, gave him a ticket to do what he got to do. At that point, Tyreek don't have to do a lot. Yeah, this man, just because you're a cop, you just can't do things to people. See, that's why we need to elect people that are gonna, prosecutors in particular and judges that are gonna make sure they uphold the law.
But why can't we make certain that there are some legislations that are put in place that deals with the area of, or the confinement of, what police officers can and cannot do? And until there is something written into law, we're going to have to keep dealing with these same people who are going to shoot from the hip, literally, and say and do what they want to do. We have not changed any laws or anything that confines police into a box when they're dealing with stops in the car, because it's not right. They're doing what they want to do, and they're doing it any way that they want, and they're getting away with it. And we've allowed it. We have all these whole legislative black caucus for the whole United States of America. Any laws been changed to make that happen? That's what needs to be happening.
Okay, check it out. When you go from Baltimore and you go into New York, you go through Harford County. The next county after Harford County is Cecil County. That is one county that I don't want no trouble in, because the Klan lives there. Princess, you live in Harford. Do you go to Cecil County?
Not really. I don't have a reason to. Oh, I would if they had some programming I needed, but I don't have much of a reason to go there. However, Harford County is very rural. So where I live near cows. I see cows on my way to the farm. There's a farm about 10 minutes from where I live. It's totally different from Baltimore City in that regard. It's not as
Cecil County is even more different.
Yeah,
Cecil
it's very
County is where the Klan I want to get through Cecil County as quick as possible. Harford County ain't always my cup of tea, but it's better than Cecil County. Why? Because the Klan lived there. It's like going out to the zoo and smacking a lion. I just don't think that's wise.
No, I'm not saying it's wise. I'm saying legal and wise are two different things. What I'm saying to you, what Marsha said is what people don't understand about those that may not be supporting Kamala. What they're saying is that my situation where I'm, where thank God for Westmore, pardoning these people that were under, a system that has them handcuffed, that has a foot on their neck, and they don't care about, they're not necessarily supporting Trump, but they don't want to support her neither because they don't see the benefit. They're tired of being second class. And if you're telling me that I got to sit here and have a cop tell me A, B, C, and D, and I got to listen to them, then I'm second class. And I'm second class in nothing. And that's what I'm telling you, because if they do that to me, I'm going to have the wherewithal and the resources to basically make sure that that cop pays the price. Now, most of us can't do that, Donnie. So they're tired of this system that does not work for them. That's not saying that they support this one. They tired of this thing not working for them.
Tell me about Larry Hogan and Angela Alsobrooks. Last night on TV, I'm watching various reviews of the debate, and I come across this commercial where Larry Hogan says he's asked if he would support the Republican nominee, and he's with a smile on his face, he said yes, he would support the Republican nominee. At that very moment, he lost my vote.
Okay.
He doesn't have a choice. To some degree, he doesn't. Why? Because we understand, excuse me, we understand politics. We understand how decisions are made between the House of Representatives and the Senate. He has to do that. Whether he likes Trump or not, he is running for a Republican senator. He will always support the Republican ticket, which is why the question is how decisions are made, which is why, as people, we have to ask ourselves which candidate aligns with our values. You see, Irvin, this is an interesting conversation because, my question to you would be if you feel like, or do you feel like Kamala Harris does not support your best interests? And if she doesn't support it, do you think that our former President Trump would do a better job of supporting your interests than Kamala Harris? That's the question.
For me, Donald Trump is not an option.
Okay.
So there's no way that I would support Trump. But what I have to do is I got to wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and see me. Am I going to support someone that has locked black folk up and done certain things to black people and refused to explain it? Joe Biden, I wasn't voting for Joe Biden. I'm glad I did. Joe Biden explained his position on the crime bill. In my opinion, and I'll be 67 in November, the worst thing that has happened to African Americans in this nation has been the crime bill, as far as legislation goes. That wasn't the Republicans that did that. That was the Democrats that did that. So so when Kamala, I don't know what type of person she is. If she's going to allow somebody to be on death row and get DNA evidence and refuse to give it to their lawyer, then that tells me that you know better than a kid that's picking up a gun killing somebody. So I'm voting for people that I believe in, because we may have another crime bill situation going on with these kids that are out here killing, and now we want to treat them like adults. So there are things that go on. I vote for people that make sense for what I believe in. So no, I'm not going to on Trump, but there's no need to ever bring his name up in a conversation about this election with me. But I'm just saying that she needs to explain herself, and then she can win some votes. That's all I'm saying. I'm not against Kamala. Yeah, but I damn sure ain't voting for Trump, But she has an obligation to explain her position. Who are you? Who are you? Too many people are in office that, you know, that don't care about the people. They care about being in office. I've seen things at a level that a lot of people haven't seen. Back in 1998, Kirk Schmoke, Mayor of Baltimore, Wayne Curry, County Exec of Prince George's County, two highest ranking blacks in the state of Maryland, refused to endorse a Democratic governor because they said we need to work on education. This is a rich, we're not Louisiana, we're not Mississippi, we're a rich state. We can put the resources into the two lowest performing educational systems, Prince George's and Baltimore, and so we're not going to endorse them until we have a meeting. And then after we meet, then we're going to have a press conference to put it on record. But you know what happened? They got a call from the president, not Reagan, not him. They got a call from Bill Clinton, a Democratic president, told them about taking away HUD funds and stuff like that because Kathleen Kennedy Townsend, a Kennedy, was lieutenant governor, and they didn't want to mess with. See, we keep voting, but we keep forgetting about those kids. Suppose Wayne and Kirk in 98 would have made that educational system better. Maybe some of these kids now carrying guns, their parents would have been in school and got a good education. I'm not being a part of that. Y'all be a part of what y'all want. But this whole Project 2025, we've had Project 2024, 2023. Until they put it down on paper, y'all didn't realize they've been cutting our stuff back anyway. So no, my thing is about, I got to look in the mirror for me. And the other thing to that conversation, Wayne said once he met with Glendenning, you know what? Then he was going to go meet with the Republican to see if he can get a better deal. Yeah, because it wasn't about him. It wasn't about party. It was about those kids. I've sat here and watched everybody sit around and love, what's my man in South Carolina, the congressman, the worst politician in America as far as I'm concerned. Clyburn has Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton come to South Carolina needing his help. And you know what he does? He don't even meet with Bernie. It's not his seat. That's the people's seat. We need to start making deals for all of us, especially the least of us. So what do you
propose, Irvin?
What's that?
What do you propose?
No, what I propose that we start looking at we put the least of us.
What specifically do you want to do? We got 55 days until the election.
Donnie,
what do you want to do? Give me some action steps, and I will take those action steps. I don't want to keep reviewing the problem. What's the solution?
Donnie, what I'm saying, the solution is this, but it ain't gonna happen. We need to start voting for the least of us. The reason Marion Barry was unelectable because Marion Barry took care of the least of us first. Yeah, until we start taking care of the least of us, you know, then we ain't gonna get where we got. People don't want that man partner, 175,000 people. That's more people that vote in Prince George's. That's more people vote. All of them votes that they keep taking out the system, but we keep letting this happen. But Donnie, I've been around a long time.
Propose? We got 55 days. Black people sway any election. What do you propose to do between now and election day?
Donnie, there's nothing you can do in 55 days to do that. You got to see. This is the problem. First of all, we don't have our own media, and everybody, like, you know, all I'm saying.
I'm sorry, this is a black-owned media outlet,
right? But we don't have Donnie. We don't have the media. Like the white media is controlling what goes on in this nation. Would you agree with that?
Not totally.
Oh, they
because
don't?
that's to negate what Marsha does, what I do for a living. I know that this news outlet can help sway. We can help get the momentum going to other news outlets, the St. Louis American, the Amsterdam News, the Final Call, the Afro. Hey, we are a part of something powerful.
I agree.
I negate your comment.
Okay, but no, what I'm saying is this. I look at you for a reason. I've turned your show on. I'm always looking for your show. So no, but what I'm saying to you is this. Until people in positions such as yourselves and other folk bring people on that start talking about the least of us. I'm from, like you said at the beginning, I give a damn about Cherry Hill and nobody else. So that's where I am. I care about Cherry Hill. And I know what goes on in those niggas. I know guys get pulled over like Tyreek Hill. Until like I don't hear, like Marsha said, the Black Caucus coming up with something. I don't hear, most programs like yours talking about them. We talk about the middle class, what we need to no, talk about them. And you got me on board with your 110% because that's who I care about.
Let's give somebody else a chance. Marsha, Princess, any thoughts?
I want to know about the Congressional Black Caucus come September. We're in it now. Did they do the caucus already? The Congressional Black Caucus?
It's this week.
Going on now.
It's this weekend.
Yeah.
So is there some sort of movement about and conversations that should be had on that floor this weekend?
Should there be?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not, I think it should be, but it's not going to be, the conversation is going to be vote for Kamala because we can't afford Trump, which is the wrong conversation. The conversation, vote for Kamala because she's going to help you do A, B, C, and D.
Well, but we also need some action steps because all of those people in the Congressional Black Caucus should be very clear about what their mission should be for this year, period.
Urban, why don't you pen an op-ed and we'll run it, and I promise to send it all over the country.
Doni, I'm not trying, Doni. I done had the FBI at my door, would mess around with, I've had Mike Miller tell, President of the Senate, I've been attacked. I'm not doing that anymore. Like I said, but those individuals that I can help, especially Cherry Hill individuals, that's what I'm going to do. But I understand, Doni, I've been doing politics for a long time. When Wayne and Kirk decided not to support Glendenning, they got attacked by Black elected officials. So, man, I'm not going through that. Why am I going to go through that? We know what it is. People, Clyburn, that's the worst politician in the world. You're going to sit here and you got things going on in Flint, Michigan and all that. And he says he wouldn't even meet with Bernie. You meet with everybody and get the best deal. It wasn't about a deal for Black people. It was a deal. It was about getting Hillary and being a part of that. So it is what it is. Politics is what it is. I understand it, been in it, ain't mad about it. So let me help those that I can help. Yeah, the way that I can help them. That's what I'm doing. But I'm not there. But somebody say, well, Irvin, if you're not with Kamala, then you don't understand. I understand a lot. And I'm not against Kamala. I just need to know about her record, and as far as a prosecutor. From her. I don't need it from somebody else. I don't need Martin, what's his name, whatever his name, and all these people running around. She needs to explain her record. It's her record.
Has anyone asked her record? Has anyone asked her?
Well, Tulsi Gabbard asked her, and Joe Biden asked her in that debate, and she refused. She didn't answer the questions.
Joe Biden has said some racist things and been a part of some racist deeds. I think him supporting Kamala is a sort of redemption for him.
Okay.
So people with non-Black views, non-supportive views of Black people can change.
Right.
Marsha, you quiet.
Oh, it's just the foolishness. The reality is that one, people get elected, so they're supposed to be handling their business, and we end up with people who aren't really vested in what their responsibility is and how much money they're actually making through all of this. I just get tired of, hearing the same thing and not getting anything new. The results aren't resulting. And we have people who are not even really interested in what needs to be done. They want to get the cash rules, they get the little payment, they get a position. But in the reality is communities are suffering, and we're not the right people in place for our communities to thrive.
What's this thing about fracking?
About what?
Fracking. Trump says that Kamala is against fracking.
I don't know what fracking is. It's something to do with that environment, I guess. I don't know. You all have to look it up. But where I am is I'm tired of Trump and his foolishness and the games. We already know he's a racist. He's self-serving, and we have people who are putting into office that are allowing him to do whatever he wants to do because they want to be on his good side, thinking that he has the ability to affect that change, and he's doing that. What we have to do is sit down. We got a Congressional Black Caucus. We got all these caucuses. We have all these organizations. And why aren't we all working together to do what we need to do to make certain that our communities are thriving, period? And it's
If you're just tuning in, you're watching the Doni Glover Show. We've just been joined by the one and only Michael Haney. Michael Haney, let me bring you up to speed. Irvin has went on a tirade. He wants Kamala to explain her record. He is not saying he supports Trump at all, but he is saying that he wants Kamala to explain her prosecutorial record. On that same note, one of the things that I have stated during this show is that during last night's show, I saw a commercial, and I've been told, but I heard it with my own ears. Larry Hogan said that he would support the Republican nominee, which means he would support Trump. And at that point, I have to dismiss him as a thought. But I have to, because Irvin is my elder, apply that same question to Angela also Brooks. Can you explain your prosecutorial record?
Well, Doni, let me say this. Angela has often, especially when she ran for exec, explained her prosecutorial record. We're missing the thing that they were a prosecutor meant that they didn't uphold the law. That's the only point about that. I'm saying, yeah, if you're mayor, not every mayor should be voted because they're mayor. They have a record. So no, Angela has a great record as a prosecutor in Prince George's County.
What's the record? What's the record with black business?
Okay, she was as a prosecutor.
No, as county executive, was she supportive of black contracts?
I'm not going to get, I don't know her record, so I don't want to speak to her record. And to me, that's something that she should do. And to me, one of the things that everybody, not everybody, a lot of people will defend Kamala's prosecutorial record, but her. I want to hear from the candidate myself. Like I said with Biden. Biden came on and he explained his position on the crime bill. I wasn't voting for him, but after he explained his position, how he was wrong, how he changed, and he told where he was then and then I said, okay, he got my vote. I don't understand why people don't have, people should just take somebody's word without them explaining their record. That just doesn't make sense to me. That's why you have a record. When you go for a job, they want to know what you did. What's your resume? Yeah, well, you know. So people need to make a decision based on what's important to them. And for some reason, we've gotten to this thing with black folk and Democrat, where if they don't do that, then they does. Now, that has nothing to do with it. People look at things from their eyes, from their lens, not from your lens. Doni Glover get in trouble. Doni Glover gonna have a damn good lawyer, maybe the best lawyer in the state. Guess what? Right. There are a lot of people that won't have that. Yeah, I mean, so what about them? How do we protect them? But don't tell them about Trump ain't gonna do this and Trump. No, tell them how you're gonna improve their life. That's all I'm saying. I think every elected official should have to do that. But the other thing too, let me make sure, Kamala Harris doesn't have to explain anything to me, because if they don't want people that have a certain, they got to figure out who do they want to, I mean, if you want my vote, this is what we got to do. But you ain't got to explain it to me. Then, you know, so that's what I'm saying. But don't tell me about Trump this and Trump that. I know about Trump this, Trump that. I know I also live in a state with one of the largest, not the largest black legislature, but yet I got more black men in prison percentage-wise than any other state. You explain that one to me. So then you go tell them about Trump. They don't give a damn about Trump. They give a damn about, you know, their situation.
Irvin, I've been spewing that for the past 30 years.
Okay.
We are 55 days away from the general election. At some point, we have to choose.
I'm not.
What
okay.
in,
I'm not understanding what you're saying.
All of the argument is nice, but in 55 days, we have to choose.
Right.
We get what we negotiate. Marsha, you want to comment?
yeah, I think, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that we have a responsibility to handle our business the way that we know our ancestors would. A lot of folks died trying to do all the stuff that we want to do. And why aren't we just handling our business, taking hold of the reins, bringing the people together who you know have the ability to help shape what needs to be shaped? You know, what is that they used to say a whole long time ago? Talking loud and saying nothing. How are we going to change it? What's that voice? How do we mobilize to bring all this together? I'm looking here on the doggone page of my internet. Congressional Democrats, civil rights leader, call for changes in the Senate filibuster. We've got so many things going on, lawmakers and a coalition of civil rights leaders. We're working, are we all working together? How do we bring, you've got the Congressional Black Caucus. Are we going to be there to sit down and talk about what needs to be done and how do we distribute that intel? You know, we just keep talking, but we have so many Black folks in position, not only in the Congress and in the state, but we also have corporate people who need to be brought in to help us shape and to build, because they're seeing what needs to be done on a regular basis. We just need to do it. We need to do it. The House of Representatives, the Senate, the whole 9 yards. We've got to do something about it. This is scary.
Michael Haney, you've never been so quiet.
Hey, I'm just taking it all in. First of all, Doni, it's a pleasure to be on your platform. And then Ms. Jews, always a pleasure. Respect you highly. Princess, yesterday. Mr. Reed, heard you before. Doni, I continue to tell people that platforms like this are important. When does character and integrity mean something over platforms? So to that point, Donald Trump, to me, has impinged himself from being elected anywhere, in my estimation, because the character and integrity issues are above wanting to know his platform. You know, as Black people, they always want to know about our character and integrity, and then they'll listen to our platform. As a white man with a suit and tie, okay, they want to hear his platform, but his integrity and character, when does that come into play? Donald Trump has negated himself. Well, when he started talking about eating cats and dogs, you knew he was a lunatic. And now all of a sudden I want to hear about his platform when his integrity and character, pointed out by the prosecutor from California, right? Donald Trump is done as far as I'm concerned. And if people are of the character of this country and the spiritual growth that they say they are in this country, Donald Trump is a done deal. He has lost. He lost well before yesterday. If people in this country say who they are in terms of integrity and character is what's paramount for someone of the highest office of this nation, Donald Trump is done. As long as we come out and vote, this election is a wrap.
You say it's a wrap.
It's as long as we come out and vote, I said, this election is a wrap.
Good point. So I actually want to answer Marsha Jew's question earlier, and the topic was raised about fracking. It's a popular topic. It was popular on yesterday's debate, and I just want to answer that question because I think as participants who will vote, if we're asking ourselves about fracking, then other listeners are asking about fracking too. So here's what fracking is. When we think of fracking, think of dry natural gas. And fracking is just really the process of extracting gas. We can go deeper into it. It has to do with drilling thousands of feet into the ground and injecting a solution of water and chemicals through the Earth's crust to break up horizontal layers, etc. But why is that important? Because in Pennsylvania produces more dry natural gas than any state except Texas. So it goes back to money. Other states producing natural gas are largely impacted by natural gas are Ohio, Texas, Colorado, and California. So yesterday, the comment was made by former President Donald Trump that Kamala Harris would ban fracking. Kamala Harris defended her position and said, I will not ban fracking. And after doing my research this morning, fracking dates back to the late 1940s. And it had to do with the United States oil and gas production with regard to how it's produced, and then obviously whether or not it produces profits. So in Pennsylvania, people are making very cheaply a lot of money off of fracking. So does it make sense to ban it? It doesn't sound like it does to me. Why our former President Donald Trump made a very false claim yesterday that Kamala Harris would ban fracking, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But yesterday, he made a lot of false claims, and fracking was one of them. I think if I were to put this election in 2 words, I would summarize it as this: regression versus progression. Donald Trump symbolizes regression. Kamala Harris symbolizes progression. At the Democratic National Convention, Oprah Winfrey gave a speech. And her speech talked about progression. As a people, what makes money? In business, we have to keep going. We have to stay consistent. We have to keep progressing. It's how we raise our kids. It's how we raise our families to get up every day, go to work, make a difference, and progress. The problem with the Trump administration is that they want to get rid of the Department of Education. He said it previously in 2020. So the question is regression versus progression. So as brown-skinned people, it is not just brown-skinned people, it's all of us. It's progression. I think that's, of course, that's my opinion. Progression.
If I can interject, and Marsha, I'm so glad you taught me years ago about keeping it moving, right? You told me about keeping it moving. Conversations, particularly on networks like this, are important with engagement, interjections, debate, etc. It's very important. Okay, so let's clarify what the real issue Donald Trump brought up with Vice President Harris about fracking. She changed her position. She changed her position. Okay, that's what was said.
Yep, that's true.
No, hear me out for a second, because I'm making a point to kind of, go along with what you said. I'm making a point. She changed her position because she was for not. She had a position of not fracking before, as many Democrats did, until the Middle East war broke out, knowing that the Middle East holds us hostage. And then you have to look at the biggest purchaser of energy from the Middle East. It's not the United States, it's China. China owns the Middle East. So the United States had to look at fracking and producing our own as an opportunity to not be endeared or to be owned by the Middle East. So she did change her position. She did acknowledge that, and she did state the reason why she did so. Okay. And to your point about progression, Donald Trump, first of all, doesn't have an administration. And that was made clear last night. He has no administration.
Right.
And the more that we continue to give credibility to him And believe me, Larry Hogan in his time, I enjoyed, but it's not his time. And he is no different than Trump in the context of where we are as a country right now. We have to look at it for what it is, right? Because Larry Hogan, Larry said that he would support the Democratic nominee. Larry Hogan said yesterday, he said on MSNBC and CNN that he would not support Donald Trump. And I've heard him say that, but irregardless, it's not even a contest for our community as to who we support, be it Angela Alsobrook or Larry Hogan. Angela Alsobrook is the only choice to me for African Americans in America when we look at the broader context of politics of the country, and not of Prince George's County and not of Maryland. This is where our educational opportunity as to what politics means in our community on a broader context, not just state, not just county, not just city.
His commercial last night said he would support the Republican nominee.
How old was that commercial, Donnie? I saw it too. That commercial was 3 or 4 years.
I don't know how old it was. I saw it last night.
It was prior to the convention of 2020, okay, when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were running for presidency the first time. It was an old commercial, man. It was an old commercial.
But why are they running it again?
Because that's Angela Alsobrooks running that commercial for the purposes of showing that Hogan flip-flop. But you know what they do. They try to, switch and bait.
That's an old commercial?
It was an old commercial. It was a commercial that Angela used in her recent commercial against Hogan. That was something that Hogan said years ago. So let's just do the research. First of all, hey, I'm supporting Angela, but to Hogan's credit, he has always said he would not support Donald Trump, even to the point he's not going to support Harris for whatever reasons. He's not going to support her, but he says he wrote in his grandfather or Abraham Lincoln the last election because he doesn't support Trump. That's how he gained footing in the Black community, by saying he wasn't supporting Trump. And he needs that support, so he ain't coming out saying it now. Angela Alsobrooks just took an old commercial from 3 or 4 years ago and spun it into her own research.
Well, I'm glad you told me that.
Well, yeah, at the end of the commercial, though, Larry, is this the same commercial where Larry Hogan says, "I support this"? Is that the same?
No, that's Angela. You have to look at this very carefully. Look at this very carefully.
I just want to make sure I'm referring to the same commercial.
Angela Alsobrooks paid for that commercial and used that old clip, as they all do, to try to contradict Larry Hogan saying something. And they all
when is their debate?
They all do it, but it's an old commercial that Larry Hogan put out.
When is the Hogan Alsobrooks debate? Anybody know?
I thought that they've got one the first week of October. I thought they have one the first week of October. I have to look for that.
Well, thank you for the enlightenment. I'm learning something today. I learned something new on my own show.
Oh, right. So, right. Usually at the end of the commercial, at the end, you'll see in the very fine print who endorses the commercial, how it's paid for. And that's what Mike is talking about.
Yeah,
right, Mike?
It's paid for by Angela Alsobrooks. And if I can say for a second to stir up, if I could say for a second to stir up Irvin Reed, who I respect and admire, right? Because I've been on a couple of shows with him. What is it about Trump's platform are you interested in?
I'm not interested in anything. Let me say this again. People don't listen to what people are saying. I spent 10 years in corporate sales, taking listening classes and all of that. I am not voting for Trump. So there is never a reason to ever have a conversation with me where you bring Trump into it, because I'm not supporting Trump. What I'm saying is this. Irvin Reed gonna look in the mirror in the morning and say, I'm okay with what I did. I've seen what goes on behind closed doors in the state of Maryland and Prince George's County and what's happening to Black folk. I've seen leaders such as a Wayne Curry and
Hey, you got to quantify that, man. You can't just throw out statements like that, not at least quantify it with 1 point. What goes on behind closed doors? Because I'm not always at the table. It sounds like you are. What the heck are you talking about?
I've seen people make votes or not make votes based on them maintaining their position, maintaining them moving up in the leadership, maintaining what was best for them or a certain class of people. I don't hear a lot of people when I listen to messages and all that talk about the least of us. Westmore pardoned 175,000 people. Why couldn't Barack Obama?
What did you say? What did you say?
He pardoned 175,000 people.
Who did?
Westmore.
When?
When was that, Donnie? Well,
don't ask Donnie. You said that you put out that erroneous information, which is not true because there's not 175,000 people. Now, Obama and Holden pardoned almost that number. Pardoned. So you have to look at the difference between a pardon and an expungement of records. Because many times,
it wasn't an expungement. It was not an expungement of records. It was a pardon.
Let me interject.
Westmore did not pardon 175,000 people in 2 years. Trust me, he didn't.
So I think, Irvin, your news. So according to whether or not this is accurate, according to U.S. News Report on June 17th, 2024, it reports Maryland Governor Westmore on Monday signed an executive order that issued a pardon for 105,000 marijuana-related convictions. 175,000 marijuana-related convictions.
Read that again.
And that was according to U.S.
Pardon 175,000 Maryland cannabis convictions.
Yes.
Right.
According to U.S. News
Like I
Report,
said,
that was on June
So, Donnie, does
17th,
that mean that you could have had
2024.
10 on your own? You understand what I'm saying in terms of numbers game? So I had 10 convictions because you know how they stockpile things on. Didn't say 175,000 people. It said convictions, and Donnie had 10. You had 100. I had 50. We got to be careful with these games.
It's nationally historic.
Princess, can you read that again?
You're missing my point.
Yes. So according to U.S. News, a world report on June 7th, 2024, this report is issued June 17th, 2024, for anyone who wants to look it up. Maryland Governor Westmore on Monday signed an executive order that issues pardons for more than 175,000 marijuana-related convictions.
So hold on a second, Princess. Let's break it down, Princess. Hold up, Princess. Let's break it down so the people understand what you said and we interpret it right. Because words matter. Now, Irvin said 175,000 people, right? We know that is factually inaccurate. Okay, because if you go to court and you have 10 charges against you for various points, right? It doesn't say people, it says convictions. Donnie can have 10 marijuana convictions.
Okay, you've made that point. You've made that point. What is your point?
My point is that we think that there's 5 stadiums worth of people that have been pardoned when it's not true.
Okay, you've made that point. But it's nationally historic. It's never happened before. What the hell do you want, son?
Donnie, my point is that your platform, which I acknowledge is powerful and important, we have to be careful in educating and
you made that point. Now what?
Who may live here and think that 175,000 people were pardoned.
Okay, you've made that point. But it's never been done before. Nothing to this magnitude.
But
give
Mike,
the man some damn credit.
Yeah, but Mike, he did pardon some folk that needed to be pardoned, right?
There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
This is a media outlet. Let's just make sure that we're careful in explaining to people, and that's what I do. What it is that's happening.
But
well,
it's
to
never
be fair,
happened before.
and to be fair, the way the information was made public to all of us it doesn't go into, at least from what I've seen, the breakdown of what that entails, which is what you're saying, Mike. But the news in terms of what has been published, even on Maryland.gov's website, is that 175,000 convictions. So, so there's some truth to that.
Okay, your point is made.
No, thank you. Thank you.
No, my point is education. It's not about my point. It's a point of education and light so that people understand when they get propaganda, right? That they can dissect it and get to the real understanding of the matter. This is an educational forum, Donnie. It's not about me being right. It's about me correcting and ensuring that Urban and I are on the same page in terms of what he gave people. The value of that piece of propaganda was disseminated correctly.
Well, who the hell do you support, son?
What are you talking about, Donnie? Yesterday you said I was your big brother. Today I'm your son. Is that a derogatory term that you're using?
We are 55 days from the election. What solutions do you offer? Are you
35% of the people in Maryland vote. So what are you talking about? So what? With 55 days. What's your point?
Black media can make an impact. Who do you support?
Who do I support in what regard?
In the Senate race.
Oh, I support Angela also, broke hands down.
Who do you support in the presidential race?
Vice President Harris has my support personally. Absolutely. Not even a question. It's time for women. It's time for women to have their place in these United States to run this country because the men have failed it miserably. Germany has recognized that. Great Britain has recognized that. India has recognized that. The Philippines. And here in the greatest democracy in the world, we glass ceiling women and people of color from being in the highest offices. Why should we trust Harris is willing and competent enough to execute common sense immigration reform, man? I'd love to know who this philosophies of wealth is, man, to ask a question like that where we don't question a guy like Trump's integrity and character, but we're going to question someone who's a sitting vice president, been a U.S. Senate representative, ran the largest prosecutorial office in the state of California, the second largest state in this land, and now all of a sudden we're questioning her competency. She can't be any worse than Donald Trump. What
Philosophies of wealth. We put the link in the comments in case you want to come in.
Oh, I'm just interested in the person behind the name. I don't hide behind my name. I let you know who I am. But for someone to say, why should we trust? If they use a different word other than trust, that would be something that I would, look at. But trust, but yet we're going to trust someone that gets 72 million votes like Donald Trump to go in office, and now we're putting trust in front of a black woman or a black man. That's what we tend to do in communities, man. As long as they got a suit and tie and they're white, we're good with it. But when it comes to a black person, we want to know who they are, where they come from, if they've been to jail. We are amazing sometimes in our thoughts and opinions of each other. Amazing.
Philosophies of wealth. We put the link in the comments. We'd love you to come on and share your thoughts on camera.
They ain't coming on. I dare them to. They ain't coming on. They ain't got the nerve. That's why they obfuscate. What does that mean? Speak on Harris, please, sir. No, don't. Hey, they ain't got the nerve. I'm trying to bait them to come out. They ain't coming out. That's why they hide behind where they are. Darnell Schaefer. I appreciate that, Darnell. Good point, man. I'm glad you at least surfaced, man. But what is the trust question that you have on Kamala Harris, particularly with who she's going against? There's no trust issues there. She ain't been locked up.
So because you've been locked up, you can't be trusted?
If you're running for president of the United States, hey, look at Robert Kennedy Jr., for instance, who ran and had 20% of the populace or the statistical vote at one point they thought. Robert Kennedy went through drug rehabilitation for the use of heroin 3 times. 3 times. Robert Kennedy out in Colorado was in drug rehab for heroin use. If you was black, you don't get that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the contradiction of this country has it's two parts of this country. It's for whites and it's for others, of which we are. And let's not ever forget that. You think you can run Irvin with a conviction of attempted murder and having gone to heroin rehab? You think you could be on a presidential ticket like Robert Kennedy?
When I'm asking you,
yes or no question. Hell no, you know you can't. Donnie knows you can't.
I can run, I can't win. But my thing is just
man.
I'm just saying. But
they would lock you up. They would lock you up for attempting to run.
Okay, but Mike, what I'm saying to you,
his uncle drove somebody off a bridge and killed
Mike,
him.
What the hell does that have to do with the question I'm trying to ask? I answered your question. Now I'm asking you a question.
What's your question? My
question is this. So you're saying if a black person has been locked up, they shouldn't be trusted to run for every office or just president? No, that's what I'm asking you the question. Dude, you can't listen and talk. I'm asking you a question.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Stuff don't make sense. But my point is that forget being locked up. I'm talking about going to drug rehab for heroin 2 times. If I was black, I couldn't run. There's no doubt in my mind. Now, if I was locked up with a record for attempted murder or driving someone off a bridge, I know I definitely can't run as a black man in this country for the highest office in the land. But you've got 2 examples, Ted Kennedy of the Kennedy clan, Robert Kennedy, his nephew, that were able to do that to what I can't do. And this is what we have to understand as a people. And then we're going to trust Harris and ask that question? Let's get real, man.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. Are you saying that a black person can't be trusted to run for office or just the presidential office?
I think so. Marion Barry is a classic example with a city of black people that entrusted him after he had his issues, but the white populace in general are not going to give black people that opportunity. That's been a proven fact. But Donald Trump, a convicted felon, look at him. He's running for the highest office in the land and probably get at least 70 million votes. How many people going to vote for you having just come out of heroin addiction, no matter how intelligent you've been, if you were black? Doesn't happen in America. America is the most racist country in the world, man. Don't ever forget it.
Welcome to the show, Darnell Schaefer. How are you?
Darnell, good to see you, brother. I love it, man. You answered the call.
So just maybe, good to see you. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
So I think there's a little delay too on my end. Sorry.
Keep going.
Yeah. So I just want to bring back up the illegal immigration topic. Actually, let me turn my. Sorry, it's just a delay.
Oh, come on, Darnell. We know about stall tactics, man. Get to your thing, man.
So I want to pose this question to Mr. Mike Haney. What in Harris's rhetoric or anything she's put out there gives you confidence that she can solve the issues that we're seeing specifically in the Black community with illegal immigration?
Hey, well, that's a great question, man. First of all, for me, I look at the fact that she's to me someone that has the character and integrity. First of all, for me to believe that her efforts will be one in which I can trust her efforts, because there's too much that has to happen for her to make certain things happen. We know that the Senate has to be perfectly aligned. We know that the House of Representatives have to be perfectly aligned. and that certain special interest factions have to buy into her politics per se. So we get all that. That's the main reason Obama wasn't able to pass a lot of legislation he intended for Black people, because the white people ensured that the check and balances in our political system, or meaning that he had a Republican House of Representatives, which she could have, as well as a Republican Senate. But I trust her integrity and character, first of all. And then when she agreed that she made a change to certain policies like fracking for the benefit of this country, not have to be tied into the Middle East potential war there by being endeared to their energy system, it just let me know at least I got someone that I trust that they'll give me 100% of what they can give me, knowing that there's too many other variables that have to happen in order for it to be a perfect storm of benefit for us as a people, because it doesn't always happen that way. They all make promises.
Yeah, so I disagree with that in the fact that your support of Harris on this policy is because you trust her integrity instead of any specific actions to fix what's going on. So we get into this realm of ideology and ideology politics, and we just look at someone at a surface level and think that, oh, they seem like a good person, oh, they look like me, they're going to have my interest in heart, when they don't speak to any specific policies or actions to fix what's going on.
So all of a sudden,
insinuated that because
let's have a debate.
Harris and like Obama are both Black, that they're limited in what they can do. So to me, when I'm putting two and two together, are you saying that we need a white person to solve the issues of the Black community because they won't be limited by other white people?
No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that, first of all, I don't consider integrity and character surface. I consider that the body of soul, the soul of the body. Integrity and character mean everything. And what I'm saying is that white people have alluded and promised us for decades and centuries certain things relative to reparations, this and that. And they make these promises on the chicken bone and potato salad circuit, right? Like Joe Biden did in South Carolina in 2020, like Donald Trump did as well. And they never come to fruition. That's why we continue every election cycle to be fighting for the same old damn thing, right? And what I'm saying about Harris, hear me out to your question. What I'm saying about Harris, okay, is that she's had success in her professional career that has led her to the position she is. And absolutely the fact that she is black has led me to take a close look at her, particularly when it comes to integrity and character. But I'm going to make sure that I keep what it is that I believe she can do reasonable. You know what I'm saying? Because for centuries, we're dealing with the same old white profile, and they never can accomplish what they promise they're going to accomplish for us. And then we go vote for them, and then nothing really changes. But I'm putting my stock in this Black woman for the country, and I'm putting my stock in this Black woman for the state, that at least they have the integrity and character that I feel comfortable with.
Darnell, what solutions do you have?
So
we're 55 days out.
So specifically on this topic, I'll give you a solution. All of the funding that has been going to illegal, specifically in the Black community, has to stop day one. That's a solution that Trump, Harris, whoever can support and get behind. That's practical. It's not pie in the sky rhetoric. Stop the money.
Illegals? What's an illegal? Define that.
An illegal is someone that has entered into this country illegally. I think we all know what.
Are you talking about like the Haitians?
Did
How about Trump?
Did Haitians enter the country illegally, or did they enter legally?
Let him answer, Michael.
It's not tied to any ethnicity. It's tied to your lawful status in this country. So I reject the sort of position that you're trying to steer this argument.
Are you familiar with J1 workers?
Michael, let me step in, Michael.
No, let's have this conversation, Donnie. You shouldn't.
Michael, this is my show.
Are you familiar with J1 workers? Are you familiar with J1 workers?
Michael, slow down. Darnell.
And where do they come from? Ukraine.
Darnell, I think there's a presumption that many of the illegals are from South America. Some of them are from Haiti.
And what a lot of people don't know is a lot of them are from China too.
They can get here with a $500,000 investment. Okay, they're not illegal. There are pathways for Europeans, Chinese, and Asians to get into this country where people of color don't have that same pathway and opportunity, and that's who they want to
hold out after the debate showing anything.
You know, we have to understand the depth of the racism that white people put up as gatekeepers, just like that fence they want to put up at the southern border with people of color or brown people and Haitians coming into the country. They don't have it in Eastern Europe with the Ukrainians that come over here and service you in Ocean City with the J1 jobs, and elsewhere in the service jobs in Baltimore City because they have 6-month visas.
A lot of Ukrainians have come here.
So if you're entering in this country legally, great. I have no issue with that. And to your point, as a part of immigration policy that may need to be looked at, we need to make sure that it's equitable how we extend visa, the lottery system, and maybe bring down the barrier for those, I'm sorry, I forgot the term, but when you invest a certain amount of money into the country to get those visas. But yeah, I am aware that I'm a big fan of Haiti. I'll be there less than 2 weeks. I've lived in China and I've visited every Black city in this country. And when I go home and visit my mother on the south side of Chicago, and I see specifically not any of the people that you're alluding to that would enter in this country illegally, the havoc that they've done in that community, whether it's from just property damage, vandalism of stores, not being held accountable because the police department doesn't have the capacity to. Why is this influx specifically being targeted to impact our community? And I mean, to bring it more home locally, we can see that on Eastern Avenue. Drive around Eastern Avenue, Highlandtown, around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. Talk to some of the business owners around there. Talk to some of the Black people, and Black people do live over there. Talk to some of them about how they feel about it. So it's not just this whole, we need to be equitable and nice. Black people are being exploited. And I feel like there's so many shaming tactics that, and maybe I might be wrong with saying this, older Black Democrats like to use to keep us in line and keep the party system going.
You mean like Donnie?
A lot of people are just fed up.
Like Donnie, right? So how are Black people being exploited?
Hey, Michael, let me tell you something. You gonna stop that little slick crap.
Have you thought about
Darnell, I want to ask you, what race
in the Midwest, the benefit of Brown people working?
Michael, I will put you on mute. Hey, Michael, you're gonna show some respect on my show.
Oh, I'm
Darnell,
sure.
over on you're gonna show some respect. Darnell, over on Eastern Avenue, what group of people are you referring to?
So the ethnicity that people have spoken to me about are Venezuelan, particularly. But I would also say there's been concerns around the Salvadorian community as well.
Oh, wow.
If we want to make it racial and single out any specific ethnic group, there it is.
What about Sandtown?
What about Sandtown?
So is it a matter that it's racially motivated, or is just people economically struggling that you have these issues?
We got poor white people who have invaded our
What about down in Pigtown? On Wilkins Avenue?
Again, I'm not in any way trying to steer the conversation around any specific ethnic group. I actually tried to refrain from doing so, but that question was asked to me, so I answered it.
Oh, I thought you had said initially that Kamala should.
You know what your problem is, Michael Haney? You don't know how to be a guest. When I come on your show, Michael Haney, I am a guest on your show, and I defer to you. You come on here and you
invite me, Donnie. You know what you get. I didn't get the link.
I can uninvite you real quick. I can uninvite you real quick. Show some respect.
That's fine. Hey, Donnie, I'm showing respect, but I also want to make sure
that this yesterday. You did
this yesterday. My show is not for sale like yours, so I can appreciate the fact you want to manage stuff. Okay, that's why we
have a great day. Princess, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Any thoughts? You've been sitting back being real patient.
Oh, thank you. I actually just wanted to offer our listeners some insight on what the J1 worker is, because I think that it's important to make the knowledge accessible to those listening in. And since it came up in discussion, and I had to look it up myself, I thought I'd share. So a J1 worker has to do with J1 visas. And a J1 visa is issued in an effort to bring people to the United States from other countries for cultural exchanges. And the people they bring over are typically here for a temporary period of time. And they complete a variety of different jobs. So I just wanted to clarify that. The Department of State issues the J1 visas, and there's a cultural exchange. They come here consistent with an agreement in place, and I just wanted to offer that insight.
Well, we've been on about 2 hours and 11 minutes. Michael Haney is still in the back room. I'd like to go around the horn and give everybody some final thoughts, some final comments.
Hey, Donnie, can I just ask Donnell a question real quick?
Please.
Just a quick question. Yeah. Donnell, basically what you're saying is that you are looking at something from a certain view and you want an answer to that question. And that's going to help for you to make your decision. Whatever somebody says about Trump when it comes to Kamala, you could care less, right? Because you want to know how she's going to solve the problem. And to me, that's an issue. That's where I think the Democrats in the campaign and a lot of people in media, especially black media, are going wrong. Instead of trying to shame somebody for not doing this, because Kamala has issues like everybody else. But if this is my thing and I'm against it, I just want to know why I should support you to solve this problem. And it was clear to me what you were saying. You didn't ask about, Trump or this or that. You just wanted to know what is it that she has said that can make you have confidence in that she can do what you think needs to get done. And that's not what politics is. No longer about that. Politics is all about the sound bite, and I like this one, and black men need to come do this and that. Oh, that's bull crap, man. Ain't nobody care about that no more. We want to know how those people that we care about, or the problem that we see, you're going to solve it. And I'm not supporting anyone that doesn't. So, yeah, but no, you and I are most definitely in the same boat. I'm not against Kamala. I just want to know about, what are we going to do about people like, Tyreek Hill getting thrown out of their cars every day in Cherry Hill and other places. What are we going to do about it? And what did you do about it when you were a prosecutor? So that's it.
Don't welcome trouble. You're a black man in America. Don't go out to the zoo and smack the lion.
I'm not voting for Trump. Yeah.
I'm talking about Tyreek Hill. Don't antagonize the police.
Okay, well, no, Donnie, what needs to happen is we need to have some people that's going to, pass laws to make sure that if a cop is wrong, he's going to pay the price. Because if white folk can get away with it, black folks should get away with it. So this whole second class mentality.
Man, we 13% of the population.
Yeah, but not in certain areas. Not in certain areas. We ain't. Not in Prince George's. Not in Baltimore City. That shit's happening there too. So why is it happening there when we are the majority?
Would you do what he did
No, but I'm 67 too, Donnie. Yeah, we come from different places. Yeah.
Princess, let's get your final thoughts as we get up out of here.
My final thoughts, since we're talking politics, is regression versus progression. Which side do you want to be on? I'm all for progressing, so I'm voting for Kamala Harris.
Darnell?
Final thoughts is I think we all should be hyper focused on the interests of the Black community, specifically the Black community, not communities of color, not minorities in a broad sense. What do we care about? I think we need to speak with authority, say it with our chest. Otherwise, we're just going to be treated as a fringe group, the 13%, that small amount. And our interests need to start from the local level and see how that's impacting us at the federal level. Like, great example, I live in Reservoir Hill. We have one of the most discriminatory infrastructure projects going on in the country right now, where they're rerouting the tunnel under Bolton Hill. I'm sorry?
The tunnel.
Yeah, the tunnel. Yep. And they're running it under our Black community in Reservoir Hill. So when I see the sign up that says sponsored by the Biden-Harris Infrastructure Act or whatever they're hanging up on North and Linden, that motivated me to go downtown to City Council yesterday and testify and give them my 2 cents about how I feel about this federal funding going towards something discriminatory. So I think we need to focus on our issues. It's cool to, champion Black issues that are kind of, I guess, great for inspiration or morale, but we need to be serious and practical and start demanding specific things. Donnie, you said we got 55 days left. Let's push these candidates to get as much as we can.
So Darnell, do you write at all?
I'm increasingly more interested in getting into writing.
Well, if you write any op-eds, we would love to publish them on bemorenews.com. I'll put my number in the comments section for you. Secondly, we would love to do a show. Oh, secondly, are you familiar with Wanada?
I'm very familiar with Wanada. Shout out to Chad. I'm very familiar.
Okay, I'm working with Chad. And thirdly, we would love to do a show. My cell number is in the comments. I would love to do a show on the tunnel.
Okay.
I live here in Sandtown.
Yeah.
The tunnel comes through here also. We would love, so take my number down and you let me know when we can schedule a show or a series of shows ongoing, because it's an ongoing project and an ongoing series of shows on the tunnel.
Okay, will do. And thank you for that outreach there.
And it's Philosophies of Wealth of Business.
No, that's I just created some name or moniker for my YouTube channel, but
we always support Black business.
Yeah. I am a Black business though. I am a renewable energy project developer. So solar, battery storage systems, EV charging stations, and I'm looking to bring a lot of that modern energy technology specifically to West Baltimore, the area that is hasn't received enough attention when it comes to infrastructure investments.
Well, we'd love to bring you on the show to discuss your business. So there's two opportunities: one, an ongoing series regarding the tunnel, and then one to promote your business.
Awesome.
So just call me and we'll schedule something. Irvin Reed, and shout out to Ronnie Griffin. Ronnie Griffin is a huge supporter, Irvin, of the efforts that we do. I can't begin to tell you, you can't run a business without money. And Ronnie Griffin, this cat right here, is a huge supporter of the efforts we do. Thank you so much, Ronnie Griffin. So come on down, Irvin Reed. And Irvin, thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your patience. Darnell, Princess. So Irvin, Princess was my mentee 20 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Back when she was at Goucher College. She's from Boston.
Okay.
Boston, yes, Boston.
Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is she gonna run for office, Donnie? Is that somebody we need to get behind?
Who knows?
Okay.
I'll know who to come to for help with my campaign strategy. I'll be calling Donnie Glover.
Yeah.
Well,
Princess, I'm gonna help Donnie. Yeah.
Well, Princess, I'm here to tell you, Irvin Bernard Reed has been my mentor for the past 15 years or so, 15, 20 years. He's a heavyweight. He was doing this thing long before me. He's helped everybody from Kurt Schmoke. He looks up to Larry Gibson. His mentor is Larry Gibson. I don't know if you know who Larry Gibson is, but Larry Gibson is probably the most historic. He's the iconic Black political operative in the state of Maryland and a huge supporter of Angela Alsobrooks. But Irvin is originally from Cherry Hill, and he lives now in Prince George's County, and he worked very closely with Wayne Carey, the first Black county executive of gorgeous Prince George's County. Go ahead, mentor.
Thank you.
Your turn, Irvin.
Oh, no, Donnie, as always, thank you for being an honest voice, a voice that won't duck any subject, and a person that's going to give everybody an opportunity to come in and to express themselves. I tune on every day because I want to learn something, especially about try to keep track of my hometown, Baltimore. But you are most definitely a gem for Baltimore City, the state of Maryland, that community in general. And man, just keep doing what you can do. And like I say, I'm just proud to say I know Donnie Glover.
To God be the glory.
He's a good man.
We're gonna bring this cat Michael Haney, and he's on. He even took his thing. There you go, Michael Haney. You get the final word.
Hey, listen, man, it's been a pleasure. Always a pleasure. You know, particularly on your platform, Donnie, you propelled me to have my own platform, 60 Minutes in Black America, seen nationwide, thousands of viewers. Darnell, Princess, of course, Princess, I will absolutely be in touch with you, Mr. Irwin. I know about your legacy in Prince George's County. Always a privilege and a pleasure. Our voices cannot be silent, no matter how loud or soft they are. To Mr. Irvin's point, we have to continue to listen to each other, but we have to have active, engaged conversation. And wherever possible, we have to support each other. Integrity, character mean everything, particularly all communities, and it has to mean something in ours. And platform, to your point, Darnell, is important, but integrity and character mean everything. And Donnie, God be the glory. Thank you for your integrity. Thank you for your encouragement. And thank you for letting me have my own show. See you all Sunday at 7 p.m. on 60 Minutes in Black America.
Yeah. My name's Donnie Glover. Up to date, down tomorrow. Do your day and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother's keeper.
I love you all.
Good morning, world.